Hi, this is an N62 750 BMW E65 and it's got a terrible oil leak. So I'm going to do this repair step by step. Before I work on the engine, I just like to blow out all the dust. Right, so I remove the heat cover, size 10. These just come out, there's a little rubber socket there, and just pull out. Take that seal out. Remove the cabin filters. You just pull up, there's a little tab here, just release it and pull out. Right, this is an optional step, but because it's so easy and it makes such a big difference, I'm going to do that. All you do is you to lift this bonnet right up so it's out of your eye line, you don't bump your head. You just need to remove this metal clip here so that you can release these shock absorbers to allow the bonnet to go all the way up. Right, next I'm going to remove this firewall. There's two bolts there, there's two there, there might be something else underneath there. This is a size 10. This is also the bracket for the limit switch which tells you your bonnet is open. On this side, same thing. Right, now if you have a look there, there is a screw coming through and it happens to be a torque size. So there's the firewall bolts that I've just removed, and there's one underneath there and on the left hand side. So if you look closely, there it is. This is a T30, so you're going to come in like this, and there I'm loosening it. So you'll do that on that side and that side, and just support this out. There you go. So what you're looking at is the screws fed through the back. There's a nut welded onto this little frame here. So you've got to unscrew it from the back to there, and there's the 4 bolts. Now what I do is I put the screws in the order that I take it off. As you can see, it was that, that. So around about the order, and then it's helpful when you're reassembling. Right, in order to remove these left and right, you have a look here, you'll see there's a torque, so it's a T25, so you unscrew that. Now what you can see is a mouth. You can see that thing is opening. And can you see it's got a little post there at the top, and there's a mouth. You can see if I just release it, you see how there's a little lip there, and this thing is like what, I don't know, like an X. And can you see how it grabs onto the chassis? So when you're reinstalling this, you're going to have to grab that onto the chassis. There's only one place for it, so if you're finding it's not closing, don't just screw it. Make sure it sits like that. You can see the way I've done it, and now you can screw it in. The screw goes through this scissor mouth into, there's a little post there that's attached to the vent pipe, the cabin filter air vent pipe. Look on the side here. Now if you have a look here, you'll see there's like a metal clamp there, and you see how I can pull this out if I want to. So you want to just lift that metal clamp. You'll see there's a space there for a screwdriver, so you could just lift that up. Did you see there? I just put my screwdriver, a flat screwdriver, and I just release that, and now it can come out just like that. Now on this side it's a little bit more tricky because there's a cable in the way here, but still can get to it. On this side you can see there's a wire that's attached to this clip. I'm just going to leave it there. I don't need it, so I'm just going to leave it connected, and now I just want to get this thing out. Same story, I'm just going to take my flat screwdriver and press it in there. There's a little space there, and that comes out like that. Alright, so now I just need to open up the front area now. So I'm going to start with this. There's little tabs here. Alright, I'm going to take this off. There's a clip, and you open this, and then it comes out. There might be a screw there, but basically I just need to get this wire released so that this can come out. You need to loosen here. Then you need to loosen here. Either one of these, it doesn't matter. And then you need to take these out. There are torques over here, which also will need to be released. And then I will lift this up. There's a clamp there, which also needs to be released. So it's clip, open. This is a tab there. You have to depress it. You can't pull it without depressing it. Once you depress it, you can release this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this back, and I'm just going to release these. Now you don't have to take these clips off, because you can just release the the cover, and it goes with this. To open this, you'll see there's a clip on either side, so I just released, and then I gently came out there. You see these tuck inside there, so you don't go up, you kind of go this way and then out. For example, if you want to see on the other side, there it is. Release under a bit of pressure there, make sure this is loose, and as I said, you're going to go there, and once it's released from there, you can peel it out of there. Right, so there you go. Now to get this out, there are two screws here, star, and when you get this out, it's a little bit tricky because it sits along a seam here that goes all the way around. So you just want to lift out of the seam and then gently peel it out. Gently. So you want to make sure you're pushing in that direction when you take it out. So you must push towards the back of the car when you're taking it out. As you can see, look at that track there, which seats on the adjacent track on the inside of the engine. So if you're just pulling like this, you will damage these tracks. We've got these which are T30. Now if you're wondering why I'm using a long nose pliers, the reason is this one is a bit stuck. It wouldn't come out, so I just had to get it here at the back with this long nose pliers. Now what you'll find is this part over here might be easy to remove, while that part is quite difficult because this is the hot part of the engine. It may have fused a bit there, it's tight there, while this part here is a bit looser. Don't just pull this away. You'll see that there is a little pipe connected here. So I just want to remove this, and that just comes out like that. You still have to get this off. So what I suggest you do is you turn it like this, and you release it like that. Right, I'm going to start on this bank, bank 2, and as you can see, this is in the way. So I'm going to remove the power steering fluids reservoir. And this is a size 10, and there's another one over there. So there's two. That clamp opens up like that. There's the two nuts. These little sleeves can easily fall away, so just put them back there. And I'm just going to put the screws back so I know where they were. Now when you're getting to the spark plugs, it's much easier because you can shift this. Now we want to remove these little butterfly clamps getting to the spark plugs. Now this is an E6, it looks like that. So it's a female Torx, and I've already loosened it. And something to note when you're reassembling, do you notice there's an offset there? This side is shorter than that side, and you can see the screws offset more to the back than to the front. Right, to move these plugs, it's quite easy. You pull it up like that, and once you pull it up, you can see how it releases itself. So you see it comes out like that. So that's all you're doing. See, there we go. And then number 8. Right, now you can effectively just pull that out using the back of the clip. You see, you can actually just turn it and pull it. For example, if I come like that, you see I just gently releasing it, and I'm going to label these, so I'm just loosening them. There's a little plastic screw here, so I'm just removing that. See that? A little plastic cap there, and now I'll be able to pull out number 8. Now this one is quite difficult to get out. What I found helps is if you actually, instead of trying to bring it out like that, which is logical, bring it out like that. So it'll be, say it was in, it will be like that. Right, now you do the same for the other side. Alright, so these little butterfly clips need to be opened, size Torx E6. Using the back of this, you can gently pull on it like that, loosen them. There's a little capsule here of wires that run at the back. See all these connectors. So what you have to do is you have to remove it. Now they're not screwed in, they're actually just clipped in. So what you just take your hand and just unclip it. So I'm just gonna, there, it's come, there. There we go. See there? Now you can release these bolts over here to get this off. Right, there are two wires that need to be removed here, connecting via a T25 Torx. Alright, so this effectively can be folded over. Now I go do the same on the other side. Okay, so that clips out. It's a little holder there. Okay, so we've got this pipe here and here. Alright, the next step is this pipe here. It's attached 1, 2, 3 places. I'm going to start in the middle. What you've got to do is you've got to depress it and pull it out. Depress, pull out, depress, pull out. I'm going to do this side, then that side, then that side. So I'm going to depress there and support it and just gently pull it out. Don't be rough, otherwise you'll break that plastic. You can see how when I squeeze it, it flaps open, but then don't go like this, otherwise you'll snap this bend, this right angle here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to depress it, and if you need to, you can press on the body of the pipe. Don't use any other tools, as you'll break this thing. There we go. See, there's a wire running there, so I'm just going to release it from this. Just going to release it. So just push the tab like that, and over here there's another one. Okay, so that's giving me some room there. As you can see, I can now get my finger there. What I want to do is I want to squeeze the skirt here and then pull upwards. There we go. Now what I want to do is I want to strip everything that's connected to this tappet cover. Okay. I just squeeze the 2 tabs there and I pull out. Alright, so this is in the way. I've just pulled that out. And there's another 4mm at the back here. Now these you only just need to loosen a little bit, because the rest you can do by hand. So as you can see, I'm just doing these by hand now. And that is the size. Right, then just unscrew this out like that, and I'm just labeling it, although these are interchangeable, but I just want to know from which bank it came from. There are 4 T25 screws here, also very tight. It just comes out. There's a ring here, there you can see. Peel that out. You'll need to replace this. I just keep these two together. I'm just going to remove this one on this side at the same time while I've got the tools all ready. Just be careful, this tappet cover does become a bit brittle, and this seal is really wedged in there. So I'm not going to try and get it out now. It is really stuck. I'm just going to leave it there, and when I have the tappet cover off, I will then remove it. If you start wedging here with the screwdriver, you might snap or tear some of the tappet cover. Alright, I'm still here on bank 1, and I'm going to carry on this side because this side actually looks much easier to work with. So I've got a sensor here which needs to be removed, and I've got a clip here, and there's a clip at the bottom there. Okay, to remove this sensor, and there's 2 of them, one on this bank and one on the other, you need to use an E-Torx, and this is the same size as those butterfly flaps that we're holding in the solenoids. Now this comes outwards like that. There we go, there comes that. Right, now there are 2 sensors here. 1, 2. You see there's a little lip there, so that's what makes it difficult to get out. Right, so that's one out, and there's one more further down. Now these sensors are also using an E-Torx, and it's an E6. Alright, so there's the E6, and one for the bottom over there. Two sensors there, and you're going to pull out in the line that the sensor is seated at. You can see it's sitting at about 45 degrees. So I'm just going to pull it out, keeping it balanced, and I'm just prying it slightly with the screwdriver, just slightly, but make sure you keep it balanced. If you just pull out like that, you'll snap it. There we go, see, and here's that tab I'm talking about. You can lift it like that, and then you can release the cable. Now, as I said, you can use a screwdriver to help you wedge it, but don't be rough with that. So I'm just wedging it a little bit. You don't have to worry about these connectors, even though they're the same size. You can see the one is longer than the other, the wire, so you know this is for top and this is for bottom. Now, in case you missed it on the other side, we've got two sensors that have to be removed, and there you can see it's coming with the cable attached. So if you're battling, just do what I did. I couldn't get to that flap to release it. Right, so I've moved to the other bank to just remove those same two cables and the sensors. And you don't have to worry, all these screws, whether that one, they're all the same, so it doesn't matter if you mix them up. I put an adapter that bends, you can see there, the one that allows it to rotate at an angle. And there you go. I did use the screwdriver just at the back just to lever it a tiny bit. Alright, so I'm just going to now remove any wires or hoses that are nearby. Right, now this is in the way of where these bolts are, and I'm going to just remove this whole thing here. So there's a size 10 just over there. So remove that, and this whole thing is now loose, as you can see. And on this side there's just this hose here, coolant. There we go. I would actually remove this coolant overflow hose. There we go. There's a little space there on the spring clip. You pull it upwards and then you pull this outwards. There we go. Alright, so now it's time to take the tappet cover gaskets on the left and the right, bank 1 and 2. There's a lot of bolts that have to be released. I'm going to start and remove them. I'm going to start on this side. Alright, so they are slightly different. For example, these ones, they look like this bolt, and the other one is actually a nut. There's actually threads here waiting for this nut to go over. It's got a little rubber grommet there. And these nuts at the bottom, if you've got a spanner like this that's got a ratchet built in, it's very helpful. I've removed 8 nuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then there are 4 bolts on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then there's one on the side hidden. There's the hole, right in the corner there. Altogether you want to remove 13 nuts and bolts. The only thing is, mine is very stiff. It's definitely not coming out, and it's because of those sleeves. There's those plastic sleeves and the O-rings, and the thing is, you've got to be careful because you can't just bend this out, otherwise you'll break the sensor on the side here. On the side here there's a sensor. Now you can see that this tappet cover has to come up and over, so if you come at an angle you'll snap that sensor. So I'll just show you what I'm talking about. Can you see that the tappet cover wants to come out, and there you can see it must go up and over that sensor at the back there. Now you might not have this problem, but mine is exceptionally tight. So I've got a screwdriver here and I'm just trying to loosen it a bit, and now I don't want to just pull it because it might break. That sensor side is definitely open, but it is stuck on that side, and it's definitely these sleeves that are by the spark plugs. You can actually hear them squeaking, they're so tight. There they're coming out. So now you can see it's open there, but it's not open there, which means it's coming out at an angle which is wrong. I've got to balance it on the other side so I don't put too much pressure on the sensor at the back here. Now, as you can see, there's a bit of a collision there, so I just need to loosen this to shift it out of the way. There's a Torx there and a Torx there, so you just need to loosen this. And these are a T25, and this can shift, and there's a little pin that goes in there, so you just pull it out, you see, like that. Now I don't have to take these off. I'm just going to shift this to the side like that. Now I can remove this. So that's out of the way. I just released that from there. I just peeled it up, and almost there. Okay, so there is the tappet cover off, and when I lifted it, I heard all the sleeves fall in. There they are, one. Right, 4. This one had fallen right onto the floor. And this car has a massive oil leak, and now I can see, look at that, look how that oil is just seeping right through there. Look, I mean, look how wet it is. Yeah, so this gasket is totally finished. It's even brittle. Just some things to look out for. Before you go and put this back, you've got to really clean this surface very well, get all the dirt away, and while you're there, just clean out all these all the dust and grime around you, because when you're putting the tappet cover back, you'll inadvertently scrape some of this off and you'll get dust on this mating surface. Now, something else, look at all this plastic, and I'm making a mistake by putting that into the by the rockers there. Look at this, see all this? You have to get all of this out. Check at this. Totally destroyed these seals. So you have to clean all of this and get all of this out, making sure that it does not fall in here. You want all of this out, and this is a bit of a job. Right, the other side. And that one, far one there, also by hand, using the highly magnetized socket. So you first loosen it with a ratchet, then you come back with a highly magnetized socket. This is a little bit restricted here. I've got this fuel line and this group of cables coming here. So I'm going to loosen this up here, and I'm going to just release this fuel line. I'm going to start with this. This is Torx. So you can see this is loose now. You can move this harness now. Now I just need the fuel line off. Alright, so you're going to squeeze this in, and when you squeeze this in, you can separate these two pipes. So you have to press that in. If you don't press that in, you can't separate it. Mine is stuck again, so just gently pry it open with a flat screwdriver. You don't want to scratch the surface there. I'm just gently peeling it out. This side is separated by about 1/2 centimeter. Now, don't keep pulling it because you'll damage the sensor at the back. Now you've got to open the back side. And what you can do, you'll see there's these gaps here. See there? You can take a pair of pliers and use it as a grab handle at the back. See? There you go. Right, now it's time to do the washing. You've got to clean these tappet covers, and you've got to get the old seal out of it. Now, be very careful because this is a bit brittle. And you can see that seal is completely finished. I mean, it's become almost like plastic. So when you're releasing the seal, just be careful. You don't want to damage the tappet cover. can see this. Look at that. Finished, totally finished. And it might be a good idea to just remove the crankcase vent valve. Just lift it like that, and at the back there. Okay, it's still intact. This is still fine. But because I'm going to be cleaning, I'm just going to remove this. That seal has been removed. So now it's time to just clean it. Alright, I just use enamel thinners. I prefer enamel thinners over lacquer thinners. I find enamel thinners cleans better. And I just put it in a squirty. And what you should do, you should let the thinners pool along the track here. Then you do it again. And now you do it again. And last time. Right, now leave it to dry. If you want to and speed up the process, you can take a blower. Now here's the kit. It comes with the seal, and then comes with some of the bolts, but you can see these grommets. Comes with all the grommets. There's the seal for the motor. It even comes with these rubbers for there and there. Now, one of the reasons why I cleaned this so well is you can see that this sits like that. So the rubber mates onto the surface. So if you want to, you can put those in now. It's up to you. Right, I've just cleaned this, inspect it, check that there's no tears. These I'll install when I place this back onto the engine. What's important to do now is the gasket. Now if you have a look, you can see that it is clean, but if you are really worried, what you can do is you take a little bit of thinners, you put it on a screwdriver like that, and you can go one time like that. You can double it over, and you can just go one more time along here just to make sure there's no debris or anything in here. And you can even see after all that cleaning, it's still picking up a tiny bit of debris inside there. Now your gasket, just make sure there's no lint on it, no dirt. And when you're placing your gasket, don't pull on anything. It should place neatly by itself. Alright, so that is for that side. You'll see that directional. And what you'll notice is it's got quite a profile there. Okay, when it's time to put this on the engine, we'll put some gasket maker over here, and I'll demonstrate that just now. Now, ideally, it would be great if you could get new ones of these. They're quite expensive. Now, what happens is this seats inside there. Now, inspecting mine, it's still making a very good seal there. I mean, as you can see how tight that is. So it's just check that yours are tight, otherwise you'll have to get some newer ones of these. You'll have to check both sides. Now on mine, one of them is damaged. especially over here, because it was leaking. All my spark plug was completely immersed in oil. So if you want, you could just replace one or two, or the new ones do have a little heat shield around it, a little foil, but it's up to you. So just make sure that the seal here is tight and that it's completely oil free when you insert this into the place over there. Now, as you can see, you do get new ones of those, but these you have to reuse. So you might have to just separate these. That you can throw away, that you want. So there we go. Right, and for the little Vanos motor, this must be the flat side goes into the tappet cover. The one with the recess here faces outwards. Right, it's time to put the valve cover on. Now make sure the surface is absolutely dry and absolutely clean. As you can see, mine is completely clean. So take some alcohol or whatever you normally use and make sure there's no oil residue on this mating surface. Right, now here are the 4 spark plug domes, and you can see that they are pretty old. They've done their 200,000 kilometers. You could replace them with brand new ones. Here you can see I've got a brand new one, and it's got this nice like aluminium or whatever foil around here to help with the heat. But you'll have to decide if you want to replace yours. So I've only had one that's faulty, so I'm only replacing one. But now when you insert this into the cylinder head, you'll find that it's quite stiff, and you need to put some water-soluble silicone spray or an anti-friction coating here, so when you insert it in, you don't gouge this rubber over here. So you can use a silicone spray, must be water-soluble, but if you haven't got one, you can also just use gasket maker. But as I say, please, if you can, just get the water soluble. You can also use glycerine, but don't use anything that's like grease or anything like that. It must be able to dry. So I'm just smearing just a little bit here, and I know this is not 100% the correct product. You should use glycerine, but I'm just using this because it can handle the temperature, and it now has reduced the friction, as you can see. And then on the other side, but you have to act quite quickly. And there you can see I just insert that into the head, and it goes very nicely. There we go. It's actually seats nicely. It was not rough. And make sure inside there's no residue. Maybe there's some little bits of grit. Remove it. So make sure the place where you're seating it into is completely clean. Alright, so you now do that 4 times. Especially with the new one, it's pretty tight. So you must use that anti-friction coating, and there it goes in so much easier with the coating. Now before you can put the valve cover on, you just need to put a bead of the gasket maker. So you just go like this, just like that, about 3 millimeters in width, and here at the bottom. So it's there, and then on the right hand side or towards the engine, you've got to put some where there's the curves. So if you look at the valve cover, you can see that there is a curve. So there's an edge there, an edge there, edge. So what you would want to do is you want to make a bead there to there, there to there, there to there, and there to there. But do it on the cylinder head rather than the valve cover. Right, so if you have a look there, there's the bead, as the direction changes, it goes inside, and then there's another, can't get to the camera, but there's another one at the top there. Right, now it's time to put the valve cover on. So I'm just going to open this petrol pipe there, and I need to lift this. We need to lift this wiring harness as much as possible. When you're putting the valve cover on, just be careful you do not push on the sensor too much, the plug part of the sensor. If you have a look, I'm moving the valve cover, and you can see that there isn't much space here, and it does want to push on that sensor. So I've got to lift the cover up, making sure I do not damage the camshaft sensor there. If you can have a look, I'm coming in at quite an angle to get it there, and I have to pull this wiring harness quite vigorously to make the space. So I'm coming in at an angle, and then I get over that sensor on the side. So I came in like that, went over that sensor at the back, dropped it down, pressed it firmly, and now it's in place. Right, these you must renew, brand new. So you can see I've replaced them, and they go here on the sides. So it's 1, 2, 3. I think there's another one there, and then on the other side. So these ones that look like this go on the sides. Then on the inside where the rubber washer is, you see that fits like that, and you see that one goes like that. I did show you when I was taking this off. Right, now something you must know is just how to tighten it, and then I'm going to close off on this video. The tightening torque for all of these is 10 Newton meters, so it's not very much. Now what you do is you seat all the screws. Once you've got all the screws seated, you do them hand to finger tight. Then to tighten them, you start from the inside and you go outwards. So you'll go there, you'll go there, you go there, 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 there. So you see when you're moving outwards, and then once all of them have had a first tighten, you come from the inside again, you go there, 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 and you move outwards again. And you'll see you'll have to do this several times as this seats down. And then what I normally do is then I leave it. Once it's quite tight, I normally leave it, then I go do the other side. Then after about half an hour or so, it actually seats in. Then I torque it to the final 10 Newton meters. Once this has been seated properly and it's tight, you'll find that this aligns nicely. You'll screw that in there, and then you will screw this in and it'll work. Alright, so that brings us to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Cheers.